March 13, 2022. A man plunges into the Yalu River. The water temperature is 34 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to end his life in 15 minutes. But hypothermia isn't his concern. He's swimming toward North Korea, not fleeing from it, toward it. 3 years earlier, he crawled out of this exact river half dead after a 5-month escape through China, Laos, and Thailand. He reached Seoul. He was free. Now he's returning. If the guards capture him, they won't simply shoot him. They'll execute his entire family. 3 generations wiped out for one man's choice. Over 33,000 people have escaped North Korea since 1998. Not a single one has ever attempted to go back until now. And he's got 72 hours before the entire regime realizes a man just crossed the river of no return in reverse. What could drive a free man to swim back into hell? And what happens if North Korea catches him? May 2016. Kim Kang Wu is 20 years old when he wades into the Yalu River for the first time, heading the opposite direction. Behind him lies a village where neighbors betray neighbors for extra rice rations, where public executions happen in town squares on market days, where his father died 2 years earlier attempting the same crossing. His body was never found, swept downstream by the current that carries so many shattered dreams toward the Yellow Sea. Ahead lies 5 months of walking through China, Laos, and Thailand, dodging traffickers and border police, sleeping in truck beds and drainage pipes, eating scraps, drinking rainwater. He survives on one promise. He will return for his mother. That's what he tells her before leaving. Wait 3 years and I will bring you out. By 2019, Kim has worked every job Seoul offers. Construction crews from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m., hauling cinder blocks until his hands crack. The mattress factory from 5 p.m. until midnight, folding foam and loading trucks. 14-hour days, 7 days a week for 36 consecutive months. His co-workers think he's saving for a car or an apartment. They joke about a dedication. He never corrects them. He's saving for a human life. The going rate for a defection broker, a smuggler who can move someone from North Korea through China to Southeast Asia and finally to the South, is $20,000. Kim scrapes together $22,000 just to be safe. He finds a broker through the Defector network in Seoul, a man with a reputation for completing extractions without losing clients. He pays in full. The call comes in November 2019, but his mother's voice isn't triumphant, it's terrified. Something went wrong at the rendezvous point. A miscommunication, a dropped signal, panic when she heard footsteps. She couldn't go through with it. By the time she gathered her courage, the window had closed. The broker vanished with the money. $22,000, 36 months of labor, evaporated in a single botched phone call. Kim doesn't scream. He doesn't hire a lawyer or file a police report. He does something far more dangerous. He decides that systems cannot be trusted. Governments failed, brokers failed, money failed. The only variable he can control is himself. The transformation happens in stages. By day, Kim remains the polite stock clerk at a Seoul mattress store. By night, he becomes someone else entirely. He downloads satellite imagery of the North Korean border and prints it in sections, taping the pages together until his apartment wall is covered with a 6-foot mosaic of the Yalu River basin. He marks guard tower positions with red pins, patrol intervals with blue string, known minefield with yellow highlighter. He cross-references defector testimonies for blind spots, places where terrain creates shadows, where searchlights overlap poorly, where a swimmer might slip through undetected. He runs along the Han River after midnight with a weighted pack strapped to his back, 15 kilograms of sand stuffed into a duffel bag. He imagines the weight as his mother. He practices stillness, lying motionless on his apartment floor for 4 hours at a stretch, training his body to suppress every urge. By the third month, he can hold absolute stillness for 6 hours without moving a single muscle. Over 6 months, Kim acquires gear piece by piece to avoid suspicion. Black thermal clothing, a waterproof dry bag, compact rations designed for hikers, a survival knife with an 8-inch blade. He hopes the knife stays in its sheath. He trains with it anyway. In early 2020, Kim books a one-way flight to Shenyang, China. From Shenyang, he travels north by bus and foot to a town on the Yalu River, whose name he never records. He spends 48 hours on the Chinese bank with binoculars, logging guard rotations down to the minute. On the third night, he strips off his civilian clothes, pulls on the black thermals, and walks to the water's edge. He takes a rusted razor from his pocket and shaves his head. With it goes the refugee, the factory worker, the obedient citizen. What remains is an operator with a single mission objective. Kim Kang Wu steps into the Yalu River and swims toward North Korea. The Yalu is 70 meters wide at his crossing point. The current fights him the entire way. By the halfway mark, Kim's fingers have lost sensation. By the three-quarter mark, his kick rate has dropped by half. He forces his arms to keep moving through sheer repetition. His boots hit gravel, North Korean gravel. He drags himself into a drainage culvert and lies there for 90 seconds, shivering violently, letting his heart rate drop before moving again. The guard tower's 200 meters to his north, its searchlight sweeping in predictable arcs. Kim crawls through scrub brush toward a ravine he identified on satellite imagery. He's 50 meters from the ravine when his boot lands on a dry branch. The crack echoes like a rifle shot. Kim freezes. A voice barks a question in Korean. "Who's there?" A flashlight beam slices through the trees. He presses himself against a pine trunk, hand closing around the knife handle. The beam sweeps closer. He can hear boots crunching leaves, maybe 20 meters away. The flashlight stops moving. The guard has found the broken branch. His rifle comes up. Kim explodes from cover. His left hand smashes the rifle barrel aside. His right palm drives into the guard's throat. The soldier chokes, staggers, squeezes the trigger reflexively. The shot punches into the sky, a flare announcing Kim's position to every patrol within a kilometer. The guard swings the rifle like a club. Kim ducks, loses his footing on wet leaves, crashes into the dirt. The soldier lunges. Kim's hand finds a fist-sized rock. The impact makes a sound he'll hear in nightmares for years. The guard drops, unconscious. Kim checks for a pulse. Alive, but out cold. He kicks the rifle into a ditch and sprints into the ravine as whistles shriek behind him. The breach is complete, but the clock is now ticking in minutes, not hours. For 8 days, Kim moves through North Korea like a rumor. He walks only between 2 and 5 a.m. when surveillance is thinnest. He sleeps in haystacks, abandoned sheds, root cellars, once inside a half-collapsed grain silo where rats scurry over his legs. The landscape is familiar and alien at once. He recognizes the shape of the mountains, the smell of coal smoke from village chimneys, but the roadside propaganda posters are new. Larger, angrier, plastered with warnings about enemies and spies. Checkpoint frequency has tripled. Soldiers stand at every major intersection, demanding papers, searching bags. And his own voice sounds wrong. 3 years in Seoul softened his accent, added South Korean slang he doesn't realize he's using. If anyone engages him in conversation, he'll be exposed within 30 seconds. On the 9th night, Kim reaches his home village. He crouches behind a woodpile at the edge of his mother's lane. The house is smaller than he remembers. A candle flickers in the window. She's alive. He crosses the lane at a crouch and knocks 3 times, the pattern they agreed on before he left. The door opens a crack. His mother peers out, sees a mud-caked stranger with a shaved head and hollow eyes, and starts to close the door. "It's me," he whispers. Her eyes widen. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes. For 3 full seconds, she cannot speak. Then she grabs his collar and pulls him inside, her hands shaking so violently she can barely close the latch. They hold each other in silence. She's thinner than he remembers, older, but she's alive and she's holding him. The reunion lasts 90 seconds before terror replaces joy. "They will kill you," she hisses. "They will kill us both. Why did you come back?" Kim grips her shoulders and outlines the plan. He has contacts on the Chinese side, a route mapped through the mountains. Brokers are standing by. All she has to do is stay hidden until then. For 21 nights, Kim becomes a ghost inside his own childhood home. When neighbors visit, he wedges himself into a crawl space behind the wall panels, a gap 18 inches wide. Barely enough room to lie on his side with his knees bent. He stays motionless for hours while voices murmur on the other side, while footsteps pass inches from his head. At night, he hikes to a hilltop 2 kilometers away, where a faint Chinese cell signal reaches. He makes whispered calls to broker contacts, coordinating extraction logistics in coded phrases. But the network is spooked. Word of an intruder at the border has filtered through the underground. The brokers think Kim's story is a trap. No one believes a defector would swim back into North Korea. Day after day, the extraction window slips further away. On the 22nd night, Kim hears the sound that ends everything. Tires on gravel, no headlights, engines cut early. He peers through a crack in the wall and sees a truck disgorging men in dark uniforms. Bowibu, the North Korean state security. They're moving house to house with flashlights and rifles. His mother barely has time to whisper, "Hide," before the door bursts inward. Kim slides into the crawl space as boots flood the room. Through a slit in the wood, he watches 2 officers tear the house apart, dumping drawers, slashing the mattress, emptying the pantry. One beam stops on the wall panel. The officer raps his knuckles against it. The sound is hollow. Kim's hand tightens on the knife. If the panel opens, he'll have less than 1 second to act. His mother's voice cuts through the tension. "Mice," she says calmly. "I hear them scurrying in there every night. Horrible creatures." The officer snorts, mutters something about wasted time, and waves his partner toward the door. 30 seconds later, the truck rumbles away. They both know the truth. The Bowibu will return. They'll bring dogs next time, thermal cameras. And when they find him, they won't stop at execution. They'll dismantle every relative he has. Kim tells his mother at 3 a.m. He speaks quietly, holding her hands in the candlelight, explaining what she already knows. If he stays, they both die. If he leaves, she might survive. The hunt will follow him. The Bowibu wants the defector who came back, not an old woman in a village house. She nods. She doesn't argue. She spent her entire life under a regime that punishes hope. They embrace for the last time. He memorizes the feel of her arms around him, the particular pressure of her hands on his back. "I will come back for you," he says. She touches his face and doesn't answer. Some promises are too fragile for words. Before dawn, Kim slips out the back and vanishes into the hills. He spends 2 days in the forest, surviving on creek water and the last of his rations, watching the border through binoculars. The security presence has tripled. Dogs patrol the banks in pairs. Floodlights illuminate the river in overlapping cones. The crossing he made 9 days ago is now a kill zone. On the second night, a storm front rolls in. Rain hammers the mountainside in sheets. Thunder drowns the barking dogs. The floodlights flicker twice and die. A power surge from lightning. Maybe 30 seconds of darkness. Kim doesn't hesitate. He sprints down the slope, crashes into the water, and swims. The current is faster now, swollen by rainfall, colder than before. Halfway across, a searchlight flares back to life and sweeps the river behind him. Kim dives, lets the current drag him downstream, kicks for the far bank with lungs screaming. He surfaces 20 meters beyond the searchlight's arc and keeps swimming. His hands hit Chinese mud. He pulls himself onto the bank, collapses face first into the earth, and stares at the sky. He's alive. He's free. But he's alone. 3 weeks later, Kim lands at Incheon Airport in Seoul. National Intelligence Service agents are waiting at the gate. They don't offer congratulations. They offer handcuffs. South Korean law is clear. Entering North Korea without authorization is a crime under the National Security Act, punishable by up to 3 years in prison. The law doesn't care why you went. It doesn't care that you swam through freezing water, fought a soldier, or left your mother behind to save her life. For 6 weeks, NIS agents interrogate Kim. They want to know if he's a spy. Eventually, they believe him, or run out of reasons not to. The trial takes 1 afternoon. Kim is sentenced to 6 months in prison and 2 years probation. 4 months into his sentence, a guard summons Kim to the warden's office for a phone call. The voice on the other end belongs to a broker, a different one, someone from the network who finally believed Kim's story. "Your mother is out," the broker says. "She crossed the Yalu 2 weeks ago. She made it through China. She's in Thailand right now, waiting for her transit visa to South Korea." Kim's knees buckle. "Iyama," he whispers into the receiver. Her voice crackles through the static. "My son, I'm here." She followed the route he mapped. She used the contacts he cultivated, the groundwork he laid during those 22 nights in the crawl space. His mission didn't fail, it just took longer than he planned. On a cold morning in September, Kim Kang Wu walks out of prison. His mother is waiting at the gate, wrapped in a coat someone donated at a refugee shelter. She looks smaller than he remembers, older, her hair streaked with gray that wasn't there before. He crosses the distance in 3 steps and pulls her into his arms. Neither speaks. There's nothing to say that the embrace doesn't already communicate. They are survivors. They are free. They are together. The nightmares don't stop. Kim still wakes gasping, certain he's back in the crawl space. His mother still flinches at loudspeakers, conditioned by decades of propaganda. The scars of North Korea don't heal cleanly, but every morning, they sit across from each other at a small kitchen table in Seoul, drinking tea, watching the sun rise over a city where no one will execute them for hoping. Kim Kang Wu swam against the current twice, once out of hell, once back in. He fought a soldier, evaded state security, and served prison time in 2 countries. He lost 3 years of his life and every dollar he earned. And in the end, he kept a promise he made to his mother when he was 20 years old. "I will come back for you." One man's stubbornness outran 2 governments and a river that was never supposed to flow in reverse.